Hi, I've been meaning to do this for a super long time, but life has gotten in the way, so um, not the greatest, setup, but here we go. Um, a little bit about me, and I'll do a little bit better intro another time, but my name's Brittany. I'm a full-time mom to 3 kiddos. My oldest is almost 15 now in 2023. And I had her by myself, and it was just the two of us until she was 9. And then I met my husband, and we got married and have since had 2 more boys. My boys are 4.5, almost 5, and 18 months. So I hope to have a chance to talk to you guys about a ton of other stuff, but I really just wanted, since we're at the very beginning, early stages of our current phase in life, I wanted to bring you guys along and just be able to start from the very beginning. So my 4.5-year-old was diagnosed with autism about 8 months ago, and today is day 1 of his ABA therapy. And so I wanted to share our experiences, because as a mom to an autistic boy, being faced with a lot of different decisions, and I found it really tough that there wasn't a lot of information that really explained what it looked like or what the process was, and it made it hard because I didn't know what the right decision was, and sometimes it felt like there wasn't enough information to make a good decision. So I'm hoping that this kind of sheds some light on that. I know ABA, or applied behavior analysis, is a pretty controversial subject in the autistic community, but we want to give it a shot. We've done a ton of interviewing with different therapy services, and we feel that maybe ABA has come quite a bit further than what it was years ago, and that this is something that could be really beneficial for our son without being super traumatic. That's something that we're trying to avoid. So we're staying extremely involved, and we're there for every single session. That's our plan, and we've set up our schedules to do that. So at the end of day 1, what I can say is it was hard. It was hard for my son. It was super hard. It was really hard for me as a mom to watch it. It's hard for siblings to be there, because my son Dominic was being pushed in directions that he wasn't familiar with, he wasn't super comfortable with, but it is part of life as well. So we're trying to do it in a way that he knows we're there, and that he's safe the entire time, and that we're gonna watch out for him. We're never gonna ever put him in a position to where he can be taken advantage of, or he can be hurt, or any of those kind of horror things that you hear. But it was super tough. He resisted the entire 3 hours. There was a lot of battles. There was a lot of verbal aggression from him. And I think to say it was sad is an understatement. He does not want to see his therapy group again, ever. So we're hoping that this kind of develops. One thing that I would say was kind of put us off to a bad foot, and we'll see how it develops, is that his behavior tech, within the first about 10 minutes or so, tried to get Dominic engaged. Dominic was not interested in engaging with him, and essentially told him, like, no, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want you to be here. And the behavior tech said, okay, well then I'm going to come and get you. And Grandma was home, so I was not there at this moment. But I guess the behavior tech went over and picked him up, and my son, while doing everything that he can, using his communication, is saying, don't pick me up. I don't want you to touch me. Quit touching me. And he continued to pick him up and move him to a different place. So that's been something that we have talked about in the line of work that I'm in and that my husband's in. That's not something that we're okay with. or something that we would ever condone. So one of our big ground rules is that he doesn't get physically moved or touched. You know, it's one thing to like gently guide him, but he gets to decide where his body is in space, and nobody else is going to touch him without his permission or consent or any of those things. He does not, especially a stranger. I'm not going to teach my child that a stranger can come into the house in 10 minutes and then, you know, move him around. That's not something that I'm okay with, or that my husband's okay with. So, you know, after that, ABA really consisted of yesterday a lot of turn taking. And so what that initially looked like was it was 5 minutes of the BCBA's turn, and then it was 5 minutes of the behavior tech's turn, and then it was 5 minutes of Dominic's turn. And they tried to go through a couple hours like that. It was very tough. Dominic was really obviously engaged when it was his turn and not at all engaged when it was somebody else's turn, and the balance just wasn't quite there enough to win him over at this point in time. And so the goal for future sessions for the time being is to do 15 minutes of Dominic's turn and 5 minutes of his behavior tech's turn, and see if we can kind of rebuild some of that relationship that got damaged at the beginning, and see if we can make a little bit of headway with just taking turns and just trying to get Dominic involved in something that is not maybe his preferred choices or his preferred activities, and go from there. And I'm, you know, like I said, it's a tough day. I'm hoping that it gets better, but we'll see. I think that we have a good plan in place, and I think it has the potential to work really, really well for him. If we can get past this hurdle of essentially rebuilding that relationship. I think that moving him yesterday moving him in the last session was really, really tough and damaging to that initial rapport building. So we'll see, but come check back in, and I'll let you know how the rest of week 1 goes.